On today's show, Crazy Rich Asians continues to dominate at the box office. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will not be at the box office for a little while now. And Big Trouble in Little China, it lives on forever. Movie Talk starts right now.
Gotta rev up that Pork Chop Express.
I still have never actually seen the movie, but I hear good things, and I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan, so we will get into the very
Wes Anderson and now this.
We shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we, Wayne?
Just breaking hearts left and right all over this great earth of ours. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Collider Movie Talk. That is Mark Yodi Reilly. Over here is John Steven Rocha of Collider Sports Talk fame. And like I said, you guys know who I am probably. And if you don't, welcome to the show. If it's your first time watching, you can comment in the chat room, you can comment on Twitter, and you can check out this really cool contest going on, courtesy of our friends at Rode Microphones. That's right. Go to myroadreel.com right now. They had a contest where a bunch of short filmmakers could make a vid of themselves using Rode equipment in one of their short movies. They would upload the short movie to myroadreel.com, and now you, the viewer, can choose who is going to get their portion of a $1 million prize purse. It's in all different kinds of genres. You got some horror movies on there. You got some drama, some comedies. So go check out myroadreel.com right now. Vote for your favorite, and that person could win 1 million smackers. More money than we'll ever see, gentlemen. But we move on to this breaking news story that we heard first reported by The Hollywood Reporter, and that is that Alec Baldwin is now set to play the role of Thomas Wayne. That's Batman's daddy, who got knocked off outside the theater in the new Joker movie. The movie's called Joker. It stars Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. We also have confirmed rumors of Robert De Niro making an appearance, Zazie Beetz from Deadpool 2, and comedian and podcaster Mark Maron. They're all joining the cast, and now you add Alec Baldwin into this equation. Here's what's interesting. He's playing Thomas Wayne. It's a different Thomas Wayne than you know and love and miss if you're Batman, because Thomas Wayne got knocked off when Batman was a little kid. He wasn't even called Batman yet. He was just little old rich kid Bruce. He saw that happen right in front of him, and then from that day on, he hung out with some bats more. He dug himself a cave. Next thing you know, he's fighting crime, hopefully to revenge, at least in part, of his late father and mother, who in some iterations is named Martha. But this Thomas Wayne is very different. This Thomas Wayne is rumored to be cast as somewhat of a 80s businessman. He's going to have that tan. He's going to have like a Gordon Gekko Wall Street vibe, and as it was listed in the Hollywood Reporter, a 1980s Donald Trump vibe about him. Well, that's why you get Alec Baldwin to play him. He's certainly no stranger to playing Donald Trump. I'm not sure how I feel about this iteration of Thomas Wayne, but I do think it's a smart move for this reason. Because this movie wants to separate itself from the current DCEU and from any DC property that has featured the Joker or Batman or any other characters thus far. This wants to be its own independent thing, and nothing says independence like a very different version of Thomas Wayne. And if this Thomas Wayne if he's a sleek 80s businessman, you also have the Joker that's going to be existing in a world that's like the 1980s, meaning that this is not going to be Alec Baldwin playing Thomas Wayne in flashbacks. I have a feeling he's going to be in the story at the same time as the Joker, and the Joker gets on a TV show, and I don't know when their paths are going to cross, if they're going to cross, but it also is a clear indication that Batman probably is not going to be around in this movie. You're going to get little kid Bruce Wayne, like what you get on the TV series Gotham, as opposed to seeing a Michael Keaton, a Christian Bale, a Clooney, a Kilmer. What's going to happen, John Rocha?
That's a good question. I'm excited and also a little trepidatious about this, because I love the fact that you get, Baldwin taking his Trump imitation to a whole nother level to the feature film now. I'm the father of Bruce Wayne. I'm a fan of this to see what he can do. Yeah, right. Worst imitation ever. I'm a fan to see what he can do with it, and this excites me overall because look, Batman's been around on film since what, 89? So we've had decades with this character, both comic book form, obviously, but definitely feature film form now, and so I think we can play with it. We can dance around with it. And we don't even need, because it's called the Joker. It's not called the Joker and Batman. It's not called the Joker's Nightmare with Batman. It's called the Joker movie, and it's an origin movie. So then you throw in the continuum of this, like how long has the Joker been around? If Bruce Wayne is just a kid in the 80s, maybe this villain versus hero thing develops because of something Joker does to Thomas Wayne. Maybe the Joker hires him. Remember in the 1989 Batman, it's the Joker who kills Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne, right? It's Jack Napier. So in the flashback, so maybe they're playing around with this timeline to make it work. And I think Baldwin's a great choice for Thomas Wayne. Certainly a different choice for Thomas Wayne. And with Maxwell Lord, which is essentially what feels like, I'm sorry, the guy I just interviewed, I can't remember his name. He's playing in the Wonder Woman movie. Then I am excited to see them playing around in the 80s and what they can do. The Gordon Gekko type 80s, the Wall Street type 80s. So this excites me overall. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, Reilly, I do wonder if this is actually going against my point where I said it's going to eliminate all that fan confusion as to which universe this exists in, because Wonder Woman comes out and it's taking place in 1984. So maybe you have just as much of that. But this is a clear shot to me across the bow of people like myself who love Batman and want to see Batman go up against the Joker. But I will admit, and this might be weird to say coming from me, who's a huge Batman fan, if this is the version of Batman that we get where he's a little kid and he hasn't become Batman yet, I don't want to see him in the movie. I don't want to see Kid at all. I want to see whatever Thomas Wayne is doing, but I do not care about 13-year-old Batman at all.
Right. I don't either. And I mean, I think with this casting of Thomas Wayne, we now know the time frame. We now know that Batman will exist sooner or later in the universe. At least he should. And I'm hoping that he plays more Gordon Gekko than he does Donald Trump 80s. Because I think Gordon Gekko, for all iterations of the character of Batman, Thomas Wayne has always been a good man, right? When I hear Gordon Gekko or 80s Donald Trump, they walk that line of being kind of like, no, hands in other pockets, doing what they need to do to survive, to get more and more rich. Gordon Gekko, obviously, not your best of guys. He's going to throw you under the bus for his own means. So what it's telling me is that they're trying to make the Joker a little bit more accessible, maybe a little bit more like maybe Thomas Wayne is the antagonist here, so to speak, that he has some business dealings with him. We have a slick shyster guy, Wall Street comes to mind again, that could maybe screw over the Joker, and then that could lead over to a Batman kind of origin story. But as you said, I hope we don't get that. I do not want the Joker killing Thomas Wayne. But then here we are in this mirror universe or whatever the hell they're calling it. They could take that right. They could take and change the mythology of Batman. It could be something that ties into the Joker. I love Alec Baldwin, though. I'm willing to give this the benefit of the doubt. I just hope they don't make him too, I guess what I'm trying to say is too much away from the Thomas Wayne we all know and love.
But you also don't want this taking away from whatever the Joker's story in this movie is, Rocha. And so my question back to you is going to be, do Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, they sit down and they're crafting a story with all the hardworking script writers and everybody in production over there. Do you want to leave this off with something like Reilly just mentioned, where you do have the Joker offing Thomas Wayne towards the end of the movie, or does that take away? Because is that the thing that we're talking about now? Is it, oh man, that last scene where the kid saw his dad get killed and that was so powerful, does that take away from the rest of the movie, or do you think that it adds, it would add on to what the experience we just had was?
I think it certainly would add on if it's done well. I mean, because if you throw in this, as you were talking, Mark, it occurred to me this idea that he could be the one that's in charge of the chemicals that takes away the regulations on the chemicals that Joker falls into, or the character, and becomes the Joker because of this. So there's that kind of revenge factor, or maybe he has the Joker gotten rid of, because maybe he's a worker in the factory and he finds out the stuff. It's going to be a whistleblower, and they try to get rid of him a little bit. So it puts an uglier element to Thomas Wayne than we would have thought, but it makes the Joker, in essence, an anti-hero in his own movie, like Venom might possibly be lining up to be. By the way, Pedro Pascal was the name I couldn't remember there. But this thing, I want to make sure I don't want to get anybody mad. But this thing, if it goes this way, this Elseworlds vibe, if they play this route, then this excites me, but we could have this idea of Batman becoming Batman to combat what happened erroneously in his mind, because Joker was fighting back against what Thomas Wayne did to him. And we saw in Black Panther, it isn't necessarily a negative thing to show the uglier sides of the father, as long as it teaches a lesson to the son. So we'll see how if it goes that route with this situation with Thomas Wayne.
I think, fair or unfair, I think that this movie is setting itself up to get a lot of acclaim, not just from the world of comic book movie fans. This is a movie that is looking at positioning itself to be away from the rest of the DCU to the point where people can watch this, and this is going to be a Logan, unless you're Ethan Hawke, situation where you watch it and you say, this is a great film, not just a great comic book movie. I feel like if you try too hard to include the Batman lore in this movie, even if it's like the end or a tacked on post-credits scene, there is going to be something that in the minds of some will say, okay, that now you're just giving me another comic book movie as opposed to something really different and dark and special that I thought I was watching. Is that an unfair assumption, Reilly, that if you get too close to Batman, you're getting too close to just another comic book flick?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. If by all the reports we've read, is they're trying to do something different, and that's why Joaquin Phoenix signed on, is because he always wondered, can you get this character and go in deep for a character that might not have been thought of for a movie. He likes the idea of delving deep into a psychopath or somebody that becomes one, and the different elements of what that is, anti-hero, all these different shades of character that you can really go into. Because at one point, Martin Scorsese was rumored to be a producer on this, and I don't think Martin Scorsese would attach his name or even consider if it wasn't a deep dive, it wasn't have shades of Kings of Comedy or you know, that has De Niro coming in. So I wouldn't need to. At one point, I remember saying that I would want a Batman connection somehow. And I changed that opinion when I thought about it more. Because, especially for DC, we have a Matt Reeves Batman movie coming. So why not do something different? Why not get rid of that? And just Thomas Wayne is the only connection you need. So we don't need to see a post-credit scene. We don't need to see him dying at the hands of blank, you know, and knowing that, well, now here comes Batman. I think you could just have the character of Thomas Wayne to signify to the audience and the comic book sweaties that, okay, here's the connection. That's all we need.
All right. Well, I'm sure a lot of people were with me this weekend when you saw on Twitter. I think it's a rumor that got debunked, but that Oscar Isaac was being looked at for some role of Batman, whether it's Batman or this Joker. Be honest. If that was the news that we're talking about right now, so I give you either Alec Baldwin playing Thomas Wayne in this new different other world, or if I said Oscar Isaac was cast as Batman against Joaquin Phoenix. Look, I think this is going to be a better movie if you get rid of the Batman lore, if you're trying to tell it from the Thomas Wayne perspective. I'm a Batman fan. Anytime any character associated with Batman is making a movie, I want to see my boy in it. Would Oscar Isaac's news been more exciting to you? Or do you think this is not only the right direction for them to go in, but the more entertaining one?
I'll be honest with you, I would have been torn. Because it's great to have a Latino actor step in to play an iconic role like Batman. That's awesome. That would be great. But to have it be in a one-off, that would be disappointing. I would rather him be named Batman in the new Matt Reeves Batman than Batman in this situation. Although it would be great to see him matching acting talents with Joaquin. That'd be awesome. Of course, two great heavyweights in acting now, going back and forth. That'd be fun to watch as Joker and Batman. But I would be more happy if he was to be in a trilogy as the Batman, as Bruce Wayne, seeing him portray that character. And I think he'd be great at it. I would love it. But that being said, I'm cool with Baldwin. But yeah, I'd have been excited about Oscar Isaac. But I'd also been a little disappointed.
Reilly, you with Rocha, would you rather see Oscar Isaac be Batman in the Matt Reeves version and then continue on with that, or would you just want to see him in more of a one-off situation?
No, I'm with Rocha 100%. I think for all the reasons he mentioned, to cast Oscar Isaac in a role that has been linked predominantly all through the years to a white male, this is something that I look at Oscar Isaac, if he's as Batman and Boss Logic comes out and makes that great image, right? You go, yep, I can see it, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter his anything. He could play the part of Bruce Wayne. He looks it. He can play it, and I would love to see him be showing up in a future Justice League movie if they're. However the timelines work out, I don't know what Matt Reeves' Batman movie is going to be, but that would be phenomenal to see him do a trilogy, to see him sow the seeds, go up against the Penguin, go up against the Riddler, all these different, the rogue gallery of villains, and Oscar Isaac's, anchoring that. I would love it.
Look at these two agreeing. We just got a little Poe Dameron BB-8 relationship. You guys can figure out who is who in that regard. I hope Oscar Isaac's NFL team does well this year. That's all I'll say. Our next story involves the box office. What happened in the weekend that was? I'll tell you what happened. Crazy Rich Asians once again comes in at number 1, dropping only 6% from its opening weekend haul. So that means it took in $24.8 million, giving a sound thumping to every other movie, including the new release Happy Time Murders, which debuted at number 3 to a very disappointing $9.5 million. That is the worst opening for Melissa McCarthy in movies that she's headlined in her career.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder, was this Melissa McCarthy? Was this puppets? Or is this weekend once again about Crazy Rich Asians? What say you, Mark Reilly?
Well, one, I think Crazy Rich Asians is doing so well because there is a strong word of mouth. So I love that audiences, no matter what, are turning out for this, because I think we need it. I think we need that diverse, these movies that are offering something else, because you said it on Collider Live even. It's like when you have more, you were on that show today. I'm glad you were awake for it. I think that having a lot of diversity only means we have a lot more stories to tell that can touch everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what race you are, what religion, what anything. I want those stories as a storyteller myself. I want to see all that. So to see this do just gangbusters at the box office is fantastic. As far as Melissa McCarthy is concerned, I don't know. I'm looking towards her.
Is this on her, or is it just?
It feels that way,
or is it the? I really think that this simply boils down to, hey, this trailer did gangbusters on YouTube, and people were talking about it when it dropped,
right.
And then it seemed like I didn't see a lot of promo material for it leading up to it. And again, we all live in our little bubbles, and I live in a predominantly sports-driven household where I'm watching a lot of sports networks. So if they weren't advertising on that, fair game. But
right.
Happy Time Murders, I think that it might have just accepted its fate as coming a year too late, because Sausage Party was the same exact style of movie with animated characters. Maybe that's still all of its thunder.
I think that's a great point, but I keep going back to Melissa McCarthy, because if you look at all the past movies, they've been opening under and like smaller and smaller every time, because a lot of people, and again, I always bring up my mother in this because she sees everything. She doesn't want to see this one for the puppets, and she's like, I saw that trailer. It was disgusting. I'm like, yep, Mom, it's puppets.
She's right.
She is right. But she also mentions, like, I didn't like Melissa McCarthy's last movie. I don't know if so it's the double whammy if she's grossed out by puppets and then Melissa McCarthy, because you have what was the other movies that she just did? The
Boss,
Life of the Party, The Boss, and all these
Tammy,
these
Tammy
movies
opened pretty well, as I recall them.
Did it? Okay, so I would want to look at the opening weekends of all her movies, put them all in order, and see if there is a natural, see if there is a downward trend, because it feels that way just talking about it without looking at the numbers in front of me. But it sure seems that way because her movies have not been critical darlings. They, aside from for her work with Paul Feig, except for Ghostbusters, where I think, the audience turned on everybody. Maybe they didn't want a Ghostbusters reboot or whatever. Yeah. You look at Tammy, maybe it opened fairly well, but then Life of the Party, whatever else, The Boss, these movies haven't done well with critics, and the audiences aren't really turning out that much. They opened number 3, number 2. I thought maybe she would do better because you have some puppets cursing, and they would and audience would go, you know what, I want to give that one a try. But not so much.
I want to agree with you, and I think I do for the most part. But I also think this premise of this movie wasn't going, like, 10 million seems about right to me in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, why would you think that thing would be at 20 or 30 million? Yeah, it's puppets, but it's R-rated puppets, and the public hasn't had a taste for R-rated puppetry in a very long. Like, Avenue Q is great, but that's a musical, right? Or you look at something like when Henson first came out with the puppets, and they were on SNL. The Muppets, they were on SNL doing some kind of off-color stuff. Remember when ABC tried to bring back the Muppets? Recently, they made them a little like edgier, supposedly, or a little more uncomfortable with some of their material.
Nothing close to what happens.
But I'm just saying, we don't. I don't think as a public, we have a desire to see that out of puppets, and I think that's to make the box office. And so, yeah, the script wasn't great. I saw the first half an hour was kind of funny. Then it kind of falls off the rails a little bit, and the I don't know, the journey of the main character for redemption ends in a way that's really uncomfortable, and I didn't like. So that kind of tarnished it for me. So to me, overall, I think what Trumbore said on Collider, A+ puppetry, but D+ script, and that tells you that that's the combo of things. And I think that does lead back to Melissa McCarthy, because you have to ask, why is she choosing these scripts that are not that great? And her husband has written or directed a couple of Ben Falcone. He's directed it, and you go, well, is this combination working? We see this all the time. Will Ferrell blew the doors off the box office coming out the gate when he finally got to lead a few things, but then every single one almost afterwards goes tumbling down. down.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey, same thing, goes tumbling down. And so comedians, it's really rare when they stay on top. Even Eddie, who came out with Trading Places, 48 Hours, all those Come to America. After Coming to America, his box office returns on led comedies by him had just decrease by each comedy. So it's really hard to stay on top when you're a comedian.
Yeah.
After a while, the material catches up to you.
Yeah, and you fall into playing essentially the same character in different movies, and then it feels like,
And
Hollywood
Melissa's
just goes,
great.
well, they open the movies to a certain number, so we can just slap something together that doesn't have the heart like a Bridesmaids for Melissa McCarthy, or say a Beverly Hills Cop for Eddie Murphy, or Anchorman for Will Ferrell, and then those random characters start popping in. It's like, well, here's Axel Foley in a different movie as Eddie Murphy or whatever it is, or Norbit. It's like, now I'm putting on the fat suit to try to sell some tickets. You got to reinvent yourself. I look at Robin Williams, who will do a great comedy, and all of a sudden he'll do a great drama.
Right.
And that he's reinvented himself, and then goes back and does something funny. I think Melissa McCarthy, she has a new movie on the horizon that Will You Ever Forgive Me? I think it's called.
It's a drama, I think.
That looks very, very interesting, and I go, perfect.
Yeah,
you need
positioning
that.
itself for some sort of awards run, and that trailer looks really good too. But I mean, look, Happy Time Murders. I'm sorry to keep harping on this point. Sausage Party came out 2 years ago, the exact same weekend, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
$34 million opening week, $15 million the next weekend. So, Rocha, just going back with you for a minute, why does the public seem to have an appetite that we want to see cartoon food items have foul mouths and get into sexual situations, but not puppets?
Well, look at historically in film. Like, you look at Heavy Metal, that was an R-rated animated film. We can look at a lot of the Adult Swim stuff. You can argue a lot of the Adult Swim stuff is R-rated animated TV stuff.
Absolutely.
And so people love that. So there is a desire for that, because animated is fun to watch. We've read, there have been R-rated comic books. Dark Knight Returns, you could argue, is an R-rated comic book. You could argue Watchmen is an R-rated comic book. So there have been R-rated material, animated or comic form, for quite some time that the public is down with. There's something about puppets that just immediately you think of children, and you don't want to see children doing the things that you see in this movie. And so, it just unsettles you over and over again. And it's, like I said, it's funny. The first 30 minutes are funny, and then it gets real uncomfortable. But it's nothing against Melissa McCarthy's acting. Look, McCarthy's good in the film.
Fantastic.
I've never seen her deliver a bad performance in any movie. The movies are terrible. She's not. And I think that's why she keeps working, and people want to keep putting her in stuff, because they know she's a talent.
I enjoyed the puppet movie for what it was. So here's your total top five. You had Crazy Rich Asians at number 1. At number 2 was The Meg, taking in a little over $12 million. Reilly, you have a fun statistic about The Meg. What is it?
It's now made more money than Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Whoa!
The
worldwide or domestic?
Worldwide.
Wow.
And I think
we gotta be nothing but chills for Solo here. We gotta be as nice as Star Wars.
Sorry. Sorry, Disney. Solo is a fantastic movie. I can't believe it didn't make any money. It's worldwide, and I believe. I want to look there. Did it make more domestically? No, probably not. Probably not.
No, not domestically. But it passed Solo worldwide, as many movies probably will.
Yeah.
At number 4 is Mission Impossible Fallout, a little over $8 million as well. That is getting close to over $200 million just domestically.
Yeah.
And number 5 is Mile 22 with a $6.3 million haul. And Alicia, don't worry, I didn't forget about you. Coming in number 6 was Christopher Robin, also over $6 million. And yes, thank you for pointing out it did make its production budget back. So Christopher Robin, Alicia, every week he reminds me, he's like, hey, make sure you talk about the Winnie the Pooh movie, and it's getting closer to making its budget back. I never doubted you for a second, my man. Crazy Rich Asians, is it going to repeat at number 1 this coming weekend?
Listen, yes, but
I think it will.
Yeah.
What if that's coming out? What's coming out next week? We have Operation Finale.
There's not a whole lot. I think Searching goes in wide release, and that's getting really good reviews. So.
Yes, it is. I think, though, that this word of mouth is continuing. I think even one of the statistics on the Crazy Rich Asian is like the smallest drop in history.
Yeah, 6.4% for a rom-com. For a rom-com,
there's something.
In history, but sure for a rom-com.
So
some movies have made more money in the second weekend than the first weekend.
So it's interesting to see that this is word of mouth. This is people now saying, you got to see this movie. So hopefully, I think it can definitely repeat at number 1 based on what I see coming out.
The weird thing is, I'm hearing both sides. I'm hearing some of my friends are like, they loved it. Some friends thought it was nothing. It was frivolous.
Really?
It was not a big deal.
But they went and paid a ticket to see it.
But they did, and because the representation is important, and they wanted to go and support it, and that's cool. But we'll see how the numbers add up in the third weekend now. But with no competition, I think it'll still keep flying. Searching, though, we got to give a shout out. Highest per screen average, 43,000 per screen. That's a great thing. You want to talk about Crazy Rich Asians representation? John Cho's an Asian leading this film. Searching, 16-year-old daughter trying to find her using social media. That's great, and all the reviews for that have been fantastic.
Yeah, you talk about something like Happy Time Murders, where it uses a gimmick to get you in the theater with puppets being filthy. So this one is Searching too. It's all on a computer screen, but apparently it is fantastic. Yeah. And on the Crazy Rich Asians note, I promised these gentlemen a piece of trivia in our pre-production meeting, and here it comes. So, the very first Asian filmmaker to have the title of being a director of a big Hollywood-produced movie is?
The first?
Yeah, first one.
Oh.
Who do you got? Gonna go 5, 4,
Justin Lin.
3. It's the 25th anniversary of this movie a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Don't hunt what you can't kill, baby. Hard Target.
Oh, for God's sake.
John Woo.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You are insane.
Yes.
There was a good piece in Hollywood Reporter that was like,
Yes.
they caught up with John Woo and they were asking him, because it's the 25th anniversary, they asked him about all the things he had to go. It's a really good article, and they actually have a version of Hard Target that he gave them the storyboards for that involved the snake scene, but not him punching it. So it's a totally different movie without him punching the rattlesnake. And I mean, come on.
That's right.
John Woo, you made a great film.
Hard Target.
It made me want a mullet and a denim shirt. Up next is Guardians of the Galaxy 3 news. Well, yeah, about a month ago now. It seems like it was either yesterday or 10 years ago that we first broke the story. We didn't break it, but we were reporting on it. That James Gunn had tweets that came out, so Disney fired him as the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We all yawn and we say, and then we fight about it. And now we're in the position we are now, where there is no director, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is on hold. That is the word from Disney, and this again comes from the Hollywood Reporter, because they have let the small group of crew members who are already in pre-production on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 know that you're released from your contracts as of right now, and you can go seek other work until said time in the future when we might need you back to actually start work on this movie. Filming was rumored to start around January or February, and that was before Gunn got fired, obviously. They had the script in place, they had the cast excited to come back, and they had a director. Their release date, we don't know for sure what it was, but a lot of people are guessing that the May 2020 release date that Marvel and Disney had a stake in was going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So that could go by the wayside, or another movie could come in and take its place. So there's a whole lot of moving parts to this, but basically now is that we are delaying production on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Rocha, what does this do to the MCU as we know it? Because I don't think it's that big of a deal if Guardians has to move a year and a half, whatever it is. I think people are still going to show up in force, and I would say that if James Gunn was back as director, or if you get somebody totally different to direct the movie, and I don't care which script is being directed. I think people are going to show up for this movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy, to their credit and by design, have always been somewhat away from the rest of the MCU unless they want to join in on some intergalactic battle like what we saw with Infinity War. They popped into other movies from time to time. There's been hints of them, but they can go off and do their own thing. That's what I think this movie was going to be about. So do you think it's a huge issue that we're delaying production?
No, I think it's a smart issue. And I think if this was Star Wars, or if this was DC and they're a bit wobbly right now, I would be unsettled by it. I'd be concerned. I'd be more worried. But because it's Marvel. Marvel did this with Ant-Man, right? They had to kind of make adjustments midstream, move Edgar Wright in, Peyton Reed in. They were fine to do that. And so I like this idea that we're going to see what happens to them after Avengers 4. Wherever they end up after Avengers 4, probably all still alive. I do believe Gamora will come back. Then it gives them like kind of a blueprint going forward, fans' expectations of what they want to see. I'd rather them take the time, figure this all out, because there's a lot of moving pieces here. Batista saying he won't come back unless it's James Gunn's script. I think this is the smartest thing could have done. Let the dust settle. Let people get over stuff. We're human beings. We always get over stuff given enough time. let it dust. Maybe there's a new director they're looking at. A new writer comes in, has a new interesting approach to the Guardians Galaxy thing. Maybe it's Taika Waititi who they were meeting with. Maybe it's that. Maybe that helps Batista come back, smooth things over, and we move on. I think Alan Horn did the right thing by taking that meeting with James Gunn. It showed to the cast and everybody involved that he took it seriously too. He wanted to hear their concerns. He wanted to respect the fact that they wanted Gunn to come back. In the end, they made a decision to keep moving forward without him, and I think that's fine with me. I think everybody's done due diligence here in the long run, and so we're going to see how the cast and the production people involved react to this. But I think we'll all get over it, move past it. A new director come in and we'll get excited to see what he or she can do, and if they can capture the vibe. That's the biggest thing. Nobody cares who directs or writes this thing. If they capture the right vibe, that's what people love. That's what James Gunn was able to do with those first two movies, which I enjoyed. So that is, to me, this is a very smart move on Disney's part in the long run.
I think some people care who directs it and who writes it.
Well, sure. Okay,
people in this world.
As long as they get it right.
I'm not happy that he was fired, obviously, but I've made that point ad nauseum. The point is now, and I made the point at the time too, is that Reilly, I think a number of people could step in and make a great Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, and that most people, if you're just watching it, would not be able to tell you which one Gunn did and which one somebody else did if we didn't have credits. So is it going to be a huge issue to you, or do you think that this movie isn't as important to whatever the framework of the MCU going forward is?
Well, I'm wondering, because when you move off of no release date, but if you tell some pre-production to stop and everybody to go home, you can look for other work, which is what THR was saying. It makes me go to the script. I'm thinking about the script right now because Gunn did turn in a script. So now, what version did he turn in? Was it a first draft to get Marvel's notes and then go do some polishes? Was it already kind of done and they were moving? What is telling me is that the fact they were doing some pre-production is that script was pretty forward. It was already far enough along to go, okay, start getting some pre-production work here. This troubles me in that it might mean that they're going to maybe take the script off the table and have somebody else write it. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to use it. I know they maybe have said they will.
Yeah.
But it worries me. It does worry me that they might actually be like now scrubbing him completely off of this thing. I'm just playing devil's advocate right now, wondering if that's the case, because when you cancel pre-production on something, that means there's a shift. On the other hand, you could be seeing Marvel, to your point, Rocha, that they're taking their time to find the right filmmaker. Whether that's Taika Waititi, where we heard he did meet with them, whether that's bringing in a female director or somebody out of left field that we haven't heard yet or that name hasn't been out there yet, but taking their time because of the delicate nature of this in regards to the cast. The cast is all loyal to James Gunn, especially Batista, who is very vocal right now. So they might want to see this dust settle, bring in not only a director, but then also tell the cast, like, hey, this is who we're thinking. What do you think? Like, wanting to get on the same page.
Yeah, to be fair, it hasn't officially been canceled. It's just been put on hold. Right. So it's on hiatus. Right. And some people are speculating. I think one source that was mentioned in the Hollywood Reporter article said that this is a temporary one and that production could start back up in a couple months, which is pretty within play. But I think for that to be in play, like to Reilly's point, you have to have settled on what the script is, whether it's James Gunn's script or it's somebody else writes it from scratch, or they write it from scratch, but they tell all the cast, no, this is James Gunn's script. I don't know if they've seen it yet. Couldn't you just say by James Gunn and give it to Batista? And he's just like, oh, James wrote some interesting stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't think Batista's going to text him and go, did you write this?
Yeah.
I just want to know before I acted. Did you write this or did you not write this? But this is like a divorce. I know we have to move on, but this is like a divorce, isn't it? This is like the mom. Like the dad messed around, did stupid things, and the kid's like, I don't want another dad. I don't want another stepdad. No way I'll accept another. And then eventually with time, you do get another stepdad and it works out. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Look at that analogy. Wow.
It's a great analogy.
From two guys rumored to be having some ceremonies coming up sooner rather than later. Just very very interesting words.
Oh boy.
Anyway, we're going to move on. I'm going to remind you guys, hey, do you like Infinity War? I gave away a copy of Infinity War last week if you retweeted my pinned tweet. And now I'm giving away one more copy of Infinity War, and it's a very special way you can win. I have a pinned tweet up right now about my show at DragonCon this Friday. It's not at DragonCon. It's a couple miles down the road, but it's in Atlanta, and I'm headlining a theater there. It's the Relapse Theater. It's a really cool little space, and everybody who replies to my pinned tweet with their picture of the tickets that they purchased, I've had people send them to me. That's how I got the idea this weekend, is that if you take a screenshot of your confirmation you got the ticket, reply with that picture, somebody who's doing that, who's going to the show, is going to win a signed Blu-ray of Avengers Infinity War, signed by everybody here at the office as well as us. So it might be devaluing it tremendously, but you're a fan of us, then we'll all sign it for you.
Yes.
So Mark Reilly has confirmed that with $5, he will sign. Look, I'm happy to pay you, and I'm happy to pay Rocha $4 to sign it. Rocha is the host of Collider Sports.
Time.
And that kicked off today. So
Yeah,
Collider
dude.
Sports time.
Sports time, yeah.
There we go. It's time for sports.
Look at that. Yeah, we kicked off today. We had Josh McCouga, Mark Fernandez, and of course, Dennis Zhang talking MMA. Me and Matt Nost are the hosts of the show. We're bringing in a bunch of guests every week to talk about the latest in sports. NFL is obviously the number one thing now, with the season about to start on September 6th. So today we just kind of talked a little bit about preseason stuff. We talked about the Tom Brady, Alex Guerrero stuff. Talked about the helmet rule with Marquise Lee's knee injury, and of course the Sam Darnold contract, and Urban Meyer stuff. And so there was a lot, and UFC with Conor McGregor. So we covered a lot in an hour. I hope you guys can watch it and give us your thoughts and let us know what you think.
Did you cover the starting quarterback position that was announced at USC?
No.
I'll check that out tomorrow then.
But McCouga did say that he feels like you guys have an outside chance to get in the playoffs this year if they can settle that quarterback issue.
Yeah, McCouga knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he does.
Marquise Lee, a graduate of the University of Southern California.
What tipped you off?
And Sam Darnold competing for a job. You guys talk about Adrian Peterson?
We did.
11 carries, 56 yards.
That's right.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I'm a Skins fan. I put a little highlight in of Adrian in the middle there. This little 30-yard run that he had. Look good.
I'm not getting too excited yet. Super Bowl. Sorry. We're going to move on to our next story. And that involves Big Trouble in Little China. No, we're not talking about the one from the 80s, the classic that I've never seen, starring Kurt Russell amongst others. That there's a remake. Don't worry. It's not actually a remake. It's not actually a reboot. It's a continuation of the universe. And this was gotten by Collider's own Adam Chitwood. He had an interview with Hiram Garcia. He's the president of production at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's $7 Productions, and he's one of the producers on Big Trouble in Little China, the new version that's going to be starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We haven't heard a lot about it, but he said that's all going to change very soon. And he said that they're in the process of developing it, and that the idea is to not remake Big Trouble in Little China. Said that you can't remake a classic like that. So it's going to be a continuation of the universe. Everything that happened in the original still exists, and they believe there's only one person that could ever play Jack Burton. Never seen the movie, but I can agree with that, because Kurt Russell is a darn legend, and I would like to see Kurt Russell, again, I haven't seen the movie, I don't know if he dies in the movie, I would love to see Kurt Russell in this new version come back as Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China. So my question to you, gentlemen, is this the right move? Because I haven't seen the original, and do I need to see the original before I go see the sequel to Big Trouble in Little China?
I can't handle this. I can't believe you haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China. And what do you think? Does Jack Burton live by the end of Big Trouble in Little China?
Comedy in the 80s? Let's go.
An 80s action comedy directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell at the height of his game. You think he actually dies in this thing?
It's John Carpenter. Anything's possible with that guy.
If it was the thing, I would say. But
Kurt lives at the end of
that one too.
I have seen the thing.
Yes, this is the great. Thank God. That's all I'll say. Yep. When they announced this, I was like, yeah, we're going to remake everything, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. The Rock, I love The Rock. I will watch that guy read the phone book. With this one, though, I was a little hesitant, but when it's The Rock, you give him the benefit of the doubt, you hope for the best. This makes a lot of sense, and it's following a trend that we're seeing now pop up from these 80s movies that's starting in horror, which is in Terminator as well. Ignoring, going to direct sequels of these movies. I know there wasn't any sequels to this. So yes, perfect. Make it a direct sequel. Make it in that universe. The Rock would work fantastic alongside Kurt Russell, because you can't do a sequel, without Jack Burton.
And you don't have to look any farther than Jumanji, right? Jumanji, they didn't remake it. They continued it.
Exactly.
Still had an homage to Robin Williams' character in the movie quickly, and then move from there. Do we get Kurt Russell back? Maybe. Would be fun to have Kurt Russell back. But I don't want to see a comedy duo. I don't want to see a duo. I want to see The Rock leading this thing, doing his thing. Maybe Jack Burton, if somebody calls upon a certain situation, help him out with something like that. Was hanging out with Wang. We don't know. Things of that nature. He was hanging out with Kim Cattrall's character. We don't know. But Kim Cattrall's still alive, too. We can bring her they're back. There's so many possibilities
Absolutely.
here. But I like this, and it's a smart move PR-wise because people do love this effing movie. They love it to pieces. They have Funko Pops of these, of all the Funko Pop. Like a Jack Burton Funko Pop is not cheap. That thing is tough to find, and it's expensive. So people love the Pork Chop Express. They love this film. What can I tell you? And
Jack Burton.
People comment the lines all the time. People quote the lines all the time. So it's a very beloved film still now. And so I think this is a smart move PR-wise, and a smart move probably overall for the approach of the movie. You don't want to remake this thing. You want to have fun with it, and I think The Rock's the perfect guy to step in.
It's all in the reflexes? Is that a quote? That's what somebody said in the chat.
It's all in the reflexes.
Apparently the chat room is like 2,500 of the biggest Big Trouble in Little China fans of all time because they're not thrilled with the host of the show right now. LSM76. Mark, that is pathetic. You host a movie show. You should watch it now. Followed by many exclamation points. Travis Earl, somebody says, wow, Ellis, WTF. And Sarah Smith says, a sequel? Give me a break. So maybe she's not on board with a sequel as much as everybody else is, or she's so excited that she needs a break from whatever else she's doing so she can go watch Big Trouble in Little China.
Well, it's wording correct. It's a continuation. They're not saying sequel. They're saying continuation. Okay. So it's semantics, but it's semantics that could matter.
Yeah, I was thinking the Jumanji is the perfect comparison. Right. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. They play in the same sandbox.
Exactly.
What was and I think the statute of limitations is passed on spoilers for that movie. I caught it on TV. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I laughed. What was the homage to Robin Williams?
It was when the name was written, the character name written on a piece of wood.
Alan Parrish?
Alan Parrish was here. It says Alan Parrish was here.
Okay.
Yeah. So that lets you know the world is still the Jumanji world.
It's canon.
Right,
it's canon.
Always
canon in the Jumanji universe.
That's right.
Star Wars, huh, guys?
Star Wars fan, huh?
We're going to remind you guys at the end of the show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. And don't worry, you don't have to buy your tickets like right now. We're going to wait until Thursday, and then we'll announce who won, and then I'll send you the Blu-ray, or I'll give it to you at the show maybe. I don't know. Don't ask for it when I'm on stage. That's just flat out rude. We'll do it afterwards at the meet and greet. Our last story involves Suspiria. Yeah, the director really wants to scare the crap out of you, but he's not stopping there. Oh no, Luca Guadagnino is directing it. It's going to premiere. It's making its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival later on this week. And this is the quote he said to THR. I hope that the movie comes across as a relentless experience that's going to go deep into your skin all the way down into your spine. I want the movie to perform as the most disturbing experience you can have. The movie is about being immersed in a world of turmoil and uncompromising darkness. Woo! I don't know if he was as excited as I was reading it when he actually said it for the first time, but Mark Reilly, I know you like a spine-tingling good time. He doesn't want to tingle the spine. He wants to rip it out of you, a la Mortal Kombat finishing move. You in?
Give it to me. Yep. Give me that. Give me that uncomfortable, crazy, spine-tingling, spine-ripping, whatever it may be. I want to cover. I want to be so close to leaving the theater that I don't. And I have nightmares always, and I'm talking about this movie being one of the best. I think that's the way you go for horror. I think I love it when they push the boundaries and try to make it, and if anybody can do it, it's the Call Me By Your Name director, who I think is a fantastic choice. Like, I was shocked that he was directing this thing to begin with. I was like, oh, really? Because at first, I always mention this, like, when they announced the remake, I was like, come on, or whatever this is. I guess it is a remake. I was like, come on, you don't need to do that. But when you bring in talent like that, who has a story to tell, who wants to challenge what you expect from a horror movie, that's something special for me, for this Horror 11 guy.
Rocha, I see that quote, and the only apprehension I have is that I appreciate somebody who wants to scare the crap out of me. It looks like the movie, that's not its only ambition. And so my fear with that is that this movie gets missed by a lot of folks who don't know what the hell this is, because they're still thinking either Aronofsky's Mother, or they're still thinking something that is so Black Swan level weird, and not just scary, but weird and different, and so artistic that it could alienate the masses. They may not show up to see this movie. Is that a fear that you have?
Yeah, I have no. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to get anybody upset. This does not speak to me at all. This feels pretentious. This feels like I don't want to be a part of it. Like Mother, and I love the director of Mother. I'm sorry, I can't think of it. I'm so
Aronofsky.
I love Darren Aronofsky. The Fountain was nuts off his nuts, and I still enjoy that damn movie. So it's just something weird about certain films. This thing, I think, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not the deepest horror fan. I love the really good horror movies, but this feels like, look at that picture. Nothing about that picture makes me want to go see that movie. I'm just not into this kind of thing that they're doing, but I respect the fact. Let's remove my personal opinion here. Let's look at what he said. Luca said some really, really good things. There's some powerful things. He has a vision for this thing. The colors are more muted, but still vibrant in their own way. The approach he wants to have, the approach of witches and the idea of women coming together, scaring the masses, scaring the patriarchy, what that's like in the history of the idea of witches and coven of witches, this idea that they have to be, put down, the mother-daughter relationship being turned around. So to me, I think it looks like he's created an incredible film. Yeah. I'm not running to see this thing. Because when horror is really good, it scares the living hell out of me. Yeah. When horror does this and it goes deep inside your psychological stuff, I have a hard time recovering from it. So for me, it's not my jam necessarily. And visions like this images like this don't make me want to go see it.
No, it's real talk from John Rocha. Very, very brave of you.
How do you feel about these horror movies?
Scared watching horror movies?
I do.
Do they hurt? Tell me what you're feeling when you see this blood here.
That I'm going to die. And I'm scared.
Does it scare you?
Also, there was a rumor going around, and there was like an internet, there was a lot of speculation that the character that is in the movie, it's played by unknown actor Lutz Eppelsdorf.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually thought that was Tilda Swinton, who's also in the movie in heavy makeup, and the director debunked that rumor. He said, no, it's Lutz Eppelsdorf. It was all this stuff about Tilda playing the role, and it came out of nowhere, and I don't know why. So it's not Tilda Swinton doing a dual role.
Oh, wow. So he did.
It is Tilda Swinton doing a dual role. He's playing it.
It may be Conan O'Brien and Tilda Swinton. They have that back and forth too. So maybe maybe Conan shows up in this movie. Who knows? Speaking of horror movies, if you like all things horror movie, you can check out The Witching Hour. There's going to be a new episode of that hosted by Perry Nemiroff and Haley Fouch. Speaking of Perry Nemiroff, somebody in this office has seen The Nun. Went to Mexico City. She saw The Nun. We talked about it. I don't know what I can say, what I can't say. All I know is that I still haven't watched that trailer because, I want to save it for the theater, but I also get really scared. Maybe
see Big Trouble first.
Just like guys are not going to let this one go. Collider Live was this morning at 10 a.m. and it's tomorrow and Wednesday at 10 a.m. as well, hosted by Christian Harloff, and a cavalcade of wackiness will ensue. And you guys can check out Movie Talk 4 p.m. here. Don't forget, grab your tickets now for the Schmoedown Live. It's here in Los Angeles at the El Portal Theater September 8th, and you can get your tickets at schmoedownlive.com, or you can go to markellislive.com. Convenient, isn't it?
Love it.
I thought so. We move on to live Twitter questions, and the first one is from Rob Galafasi, and he says, Mark Ellis, what are you doing with your life? Big Trouble in Little China is one of the greatest movies ever made. Go home and watch it after the show. And then watch the director commentary. Mm-hmm. And that's his question, because he says, what is your favorite movie commentary track?
Oh, jeez.
Said his is Big Trouble in Little China.
Are you still thinking?
I am thinking.
Okay, number 2 in the list is anything with Schwarzenegger, because his commentary track is, I remember when I did that, very funny. He does not give you any kind of background or into this. Conan commentary track is the best.
This is where we filmed this part right here. It's really great.
Yeah, it was
really great. I swung a sword here.
He gives you nothing. Yeah. But the best commentary track for me, bar none, is the Tropic Thunder commentary track, because it's the actors with Robert Downey Jr. as Lincoln Osiris staying in character the whole time until they end the commentary, and he becomes Robert Downey Jr., or he becomes the Australian guy again, because he said in the movie, I don't drop the accent until I do the DVD commentary. And so he does a commentary the whole track as Lincoln Osiris, acting both commenting on the actor who portrayed that character, and then as himself, Lincoln Osiris, in the movie. So it's a fascinating commentary track.
The one I just recently did was fantastic. The Russo Brothers Infinity War.
Oh, right.
It just that's like geek catnip for me. You know, it's like just hearing, because you're speculating on everything, you're having fun. I love the when J.J. Abrams finally released the Force Awakens commentary. I watched that as well. Any kind of big budget movie that has these big moments like an Infinity War or Force Awakens, that's what I love. I love those ones.
All right. I'm not a big commentary track guy.
Overall, I'm not either. It has to be one of those movies that like I really go in and get geeky.
I heard Taika's really funny in the Thor Ragnarok one.
I'm sure.
So that would be one.
That might
I
be
like
my
Mystery
favorite,
Science Theater.
actually.
Can I take
that Taika's is fantastic.
Okay, good.
He goes...
You know,
he's really... You're actually watching like a comedy show with Taika Waititi's one.
You know, there's great commentary tracks. Collider. We got Avengers: Infinity War and Deadpool 2.
Oh yeah, Justice League was pretty good.
And Justice League as well with me.
What did I say? I love commentary tracks. I can't wait to watch all of them from us here at Collider Studios.
There it is.
Next question is for the panel with a specific slant to John Rocha, and that's because it's from John Ashford. And he says, can the Rocha Says host a top 20 or top 10 best Westerns of all time? Not your favorite best Westerns is in the hotel chain, but I highly recommend the one in Amarillo, Texas. I'm talking about the best Western movies in history, so I'm sure you and Nost have covered that on top 10.
We've done it twice.
What was your number one, or is that a spoiler to give away?
The Searchers, I think, is still my number one, but Unforgiven is a very, very close number two.
You and I texted about Unforgiven. We were doing a little quote war back and forth with Unforgiven.
That's right.
Did Tombstone land anywhere?
No. Not even the top 100.
I was at Coffee Bean the other day.
What's wrong with you?
And
How do you not like Tombstone?
There's a guy watching Tombstone.
How can you not like Tombstone?
Was he homeless?
He was watching Tombstone, but he didn't have headphones. So like Coffee Bean we just had to be cool with the fact that the guy was watching Tombstone.
Because only jerks like Tombstone. That's why. It's such a terrible movie. Look, Val Kilmer is great. The movie itself is crap. Come on, Kurt Russell? Why? Why?
Man.
That's a TV movie masquerading as a feature film.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And here's why I'm proud of you. This is the record for the longest John Rocha has gone without setting the chat room off. You went 48 minutes without. You were throwing a perfect game.
Yeah.
And Icarus, you just flew too close to the sun. The wings melted, and now you're right back in jail again.
wrong
Mark
with
Reilly, are you going to take Tombstone as your favorite Western?
No, he isn't.
Tombstone is up there. It
Jesus
definitely is up
Christ.
there. Young Guns is up there for me. I love Young Guns. Yeah, shut up.
This is like me saying,
It's my time now.
Okay,
it's my time now. Unforgiven. Unforgiven is up there, so we can agree there. But look, my dad showed me Tombstone, and he went, this is one of the greatest Westerns of all time. And I watched it with him and had such a bonding moment. I know you can appreciate that, Rocha.
I can.
But I get it. You don't like Tombstone. I don't understand why. The original Magnificent Seven is one of my favorites.
Yes. That's my number 3.
Yeah, is one of my favorites. Love The Searchers. Haven't seen that in many, many, many years, but those are my favorite off the top of my head.
All right. Reilly is categorically insane if he thinks that Young Guns or Tombstone is the best Western of all time. The correct answer is
It's Young Guns 2.
Oh, for God's sake.
So, Young Guns 2 is up there.
Yoo-hoo.
I like the original Young Guns more.
This is
I
like
do.
saying-
It just was more fun.
This is like
accept
saying
that.
Jason Takes Manhattan is the best horror film. And what are you talking
Is that okay? Wait, that's interesting. That's how you feel
about
Is it-
Tombstone? Yes. And about Young Guns.
Okay, that sucks.
Young Guns 2 is terrible. Young Guns is
because
fun.
Jason Takes Manhattan is not a good Friday the
That's
13th
what I'm
movie.
getting at.
All right, whatever.
I prefer when the Muppets took Manhattan. That's who I would take at Manhattan.
They took it better than Jason, who was there for all of 5 minutes.
We'll do a couple more here, and then we will call it a day.
He's on a boat the whole time. It's such a ridiculous subtitle because you're like Jason Takes Manhattan, and you see him kicking the boombox and showing his face, and you're like, great, he's gonna be in New York. Nope, he's there literally 2 hours later for 5 minutes. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
Are you children done here? Okay. Here we
don't
go.
make me come back there.
Nick Burwell says, speaking of mother,
Oh,
what
boy.
is the best movie with an exclamation point? Can either
How many
of y'all
are there?
name a movie
Stop or my mom will shoot.
with an exclamation point? That does have an exclamation point. Rocha wins the buzzer round. Are you actually accepting that as
No.
your favorite movie with an exclamation point?
I think Help is my favorite movie with an exclamation point.
I'm gonna steal that
movie.
one. Yeah. What other ones are there?
Good pulls.
Is Mamma Mia one? I wouldn't put it in there, but I would just.
It is. Does
it have a
Mamma Mia might. The ones that came to my mind were The Informant and
Okay.
The Informant?
yeah,
What?
The
Is that-
Informant with Matt Damon.
And had it.
It was
Really? Was
exclamation point, yeah. And then Anvil, the story of Anvil, the documentary about the metal band Anvil.
Oh, yeah.
Great film.
Great. Yeah, there's some Hello Dolly, Tora. Now I'm cheating, by the way.
Tora is good.
Yeah, there's Oh God and Oh God 2.
Oh, God's
God.
great.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, God's great.
I love Oh God.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Oh, Riley, you're really gonna hate yourself now.
Yeah,
two
I am.
movies that you totally missed.
Yeah. Oh God, you devil is great.
Three Amigos
Three Amigos.
and Airplane.
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 There you go.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm kicking myself.
It's okay.
Airplane and Three Amigos are. I'm gonna grab. In fact, I'm just gonna grab Airplane. That is.
I concede that.
Airplane's just a
great choice.
fantastic movie.
All right, last question, we'll get out of here. Amaru Moses says the second half of 2018 seems to be slowing down. What movie will come out that will surprise everyone the rest of the year? Well, it's funny you ask that because, as I said on Collider Live, I'm going to get to see a lot of these movies very early because I'm going to the Toronto International Film Festival. Yeah, they're letting me into Canada, and I'm going to go see a whole bunch of movies, and it's going to be really fun. That's all I'm there to do. I'm going to go. I'm going to watch a lot of movies. I'm very excited about a number of them, but I'm going to be back for the live Schmoedown show. So I'm flying back just for that, and I'm flying back to Toronto.
Wow.
for
Whoa,
4 more
back
days
and
of
forth,
movie
huh?
watching. Yeah,
You're
and
a
then I get to
jet
go to the
setter.
Middle East for a USO tour. So I'm going to be doing a lot of flying.
What? That's
You
awesome.
gentlemen, let's talk about a movie that not necessarily your most anticipated, but a movie that you've heard of, maybe you saw a trailer for, that is going to surprise you the rest of the year.
I have to cheat. I don't know.
Then you can
Go
cheat.
ahead.
I mean, off the top of my head, I know it isn't a most anticipated, but I think because of the history of this franchise, and yes, it is a franchise, and based on the first look trailer and the fact that it's over at Blumhouse is Halloween, I think it will surprise people who are just expecting another chapter in an endless thing where this guy doesn't die and keeps coming back and it gets more and more, ridiculous and the plots are contrived. I think that Halloween has the potential under Blumhouse to really shock horror lovers by the same kind of thing that it surprised people, not only with box office, but how good it was. So I'm gonna lay claim on Halloween.
Yeah, I'm going to say I think Beautiful Boy is the one for me that I think
That's cool.
It's going to barnstorm the Oscars. I think Carell and Timothée Chalamet look tremendous in that movie from the brief snippet we've seen. Roke, is there anything on your mind that you think is going to come out and just surprise the hell out of people?
Well, everybody knows the Outlaw loves biopics.
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I think those trailers have been incredible, and it's still kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Rami Malek coming off of Mr. Robot, doesn't have the feature film attention just yet. So I think that's one that not a lot of people are giving a lot of potential to, but that I think could shock everybody. And White Boy Rick. I think White Boy Rick is going to be incredible, and it may surprise people with the box office that it does.
All right. Well, there's one other movie I think we'll probably talk about in Collider Sports when it comes out, and that's by great documentary filmmaker, primarily in but also outside the world of sports, is Billy Corben. He's got a movie called Screwball coming out, which is all about Major League Baseball and doping, and then that's playing a tip too. So hopefully I get to check that out, and hopefully you guys enjoyed checking out this episode of Collider Movie Talk. We'll be back 4 p.m. PT tomorrow. I want to thank Mark, Yodi, Reilly, John, the Outlaw Rocha, 2 all-time Schmoedown legends, and they had a great show, at least for 90% of it. See you guys tomorrow. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.